Does anyone know how to fix that? I've never seen it do that before. Yeah, it's coming up here. It's coming into a different view. I think it's just a different version of the software that I've used.
Oh no, that's it.
Yeah. It's just doing this weird split screen thing.
That's your presentation view. It's actually pretty helpful. So this will give you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize
next.
it was
Yeah,
correct.
that's your next.
Oh, okay,
That's your next
I'm with
slide
you.
will come up.
Cool. Thank you. Sorry about that. Hi. I'm also not very good at Facebook. So my name is Matt Nanny. I work for AECOM. I'm here to present on mobile data, specifically on data collection using CartoPac and back-end reporting with SSRS. This slide here is one of my favorite slides. I actually lifted this. I'm sorry, can everybody hear me okay? Good. This slide right here is one of my favorite slides. It talks about flexible data models, things of that nature, but it really encompasses everything that is mobile data in general. And I love and hate that word. It's in my job title, and you have to explain it every single time. What is mobile data? Mobile data is anything that is not paper-based. Mobile data is something that you can take with you, something that makes your job easier. A lot of times, especially when you're implementing the tools with people who aren't really technologically savvy, they see this as a hindrance. They go, well, one of the things I really hate when people say this is like, oh, I'm frustrated with this. I just want to go back to paper. The whole point of mobile data is to get rid of the paper, collect data in a meaningful way to be used for analysis and other back-end reporting for that. So you see right here, they have different stacked blocks here. This actually came from a non-geospatially related inspections program here, but I think it gives a good idea of all the intricacies involved with that. So this is my favorite word to use with mobile data, scalability. Oftentimes, someone will come to you and say, all right, I need to collect XYZ attributes. Case in point, the latest bus project I had is for ADA compliance. They want to capture sidewalk widths, slope and cross slope, and then also curb ramp and different features thereof. They go, okay, great. They say, well, what's the budget for that? And they go, okay, well, the budget's a medium-sized budget. I say, well, what's the timeline? Oh, I need this like tomorrow. You're like, okay, so you kind of take all of these factors in, and really it helps you decide what you're going to use for that project. You might use a collector. I need to collect 4 things. I need it done tomorrow, and I don't want to carry around big hulking GPS devices, but I need it sub-meter. So you can make that combination between the technologies and the software to come with that right fit for the project. And here's the other part. There are too many choices. So you'll see here we have CartoPac over on the left-hand side, which I'll be presenting on today. There's FieldSync, which is a non-spatially field form-related thing, as well as Pendragon. You have Collector, S3 Products, ArcPad, which I still support projects on ArcPad because, as you were saying, it just works well. It's a well-rounded tool. And CartoPac does much the same for that. There's also a lot of Earthsoft products out there, too. They're becoming more popular in the environmental field, such as Edge and Equus. They integrate with GIS, but collect data for environmental concerns, such as, say, toxicity in well water. So just talk a little bit, what is CartoPac? I'll let you guys read the screen here, but I'll just go on my own here. The 3 biggest things I like about CartoPac are its customizability, the fact that it does venture away from S3 products, which depending on the level of your organization is either a good thing or a bad thing. A lot of the times we'll either have this as like I guess I was talking about with scalability. If you have a smaller project, you're able to create a file geodatabase, flesh out your schema, bring it into CartoPac, do all your fields and drop downs and different related tables and photos of that within CartoPac, and it sits on a shell on top of it. Push that out to individual devices. They go out for a week or 2 weeks, come back, send you in check-in files, check it in, kind of like old school ArcPad, and do that. But it also works on the enterprise level where we can have that connected to an enterprise geodatabase. You log into the server, go into the website, click your area of intent, and you'll be able to download the files you'll need for the day. And the other thing they do is rather than call it a checkout file, they call it the solution for that. One other thing I want to point out, this high and low accuracy GPS. That's one of my favorite things to talk about with people say, all right, well, I need to collect this data. It needs to be this accurate. You're like, it needs to be sub-centimeter. You're like, well, why does it need to be sub-centimeter? Like, well, I just know that's a good level of survey accuracy. Like, well, what is it you're collecting? Were you collecting just general road locations? You're like, You could probably do that on your cell phone. You can have that 8 to 16 foot range on your cell phone's GPS. But what we can do is just provide you with a sub-meter GPS external unit. Here are the listed devices. If you haven't talked to the EOS guys, I absolutely love this receiver. It's about the size of a small lunchbox or something like that, yay big. Smaller than the Yuma, I would say, for scalable, by half the size. It gives sub-meter accuracy. It's very accurate. It'll work on every band coming out, and the current one's supported. And the other unit in is sub-meter for that. Really lightweight. You can stick it out the back of your backpack, give it to people, hand that over with a collector solution, and you have a very, very physically lightweight solution to hand over if you're collecting small amounts of data. We used Aero 100 devices for project support, and specifically to the project I'm talking about here, NED, a little bit. The Pro 6H, which is a decimeter accuracy, very good. I found some reliability issues with those throughout the course of the project, people just being generally rough with them. So we had some repair costs incurred with that, but the data accuracy was impeccable. Yuma devices, you guys have all seen those. And this is the GTAC F110 ruggedized tablet. They're about a comparable price point with the Yuma here. Pros and cons, no internal GPS for that, but most of the time you're using external GPS, so it's a moot point for that. Larger screen real estate as well, which is enjoyable. So going back to CartoPac, what is CartoPac? CartoPac is comprised of 3 basic components here. CartoPac Studio, where you optimize and build the solution. CartoPac Mobile, where you'd actually deploy the solution, use it for the interface, much like ArcPad. And then CartoPac Server, where you upload and download and post-process the data. It can also support Trimble PFTK if you're one inclined, or if you're using Trimble devices. I will say this, CartoPac works very well with Trimble devices, and well with other non-Trimble devices, even though they technically aren't supported. It works within the AECOMONLINE architecture, which is just ArcGIS Online with the AECOM spin, and the portal architecture as well. So this is a snapshot of CartoPac Studio. The way it seems to work best, and you can do it a number of ways, is you flesh out the schema of your Geodatabase, bring it into CartoPac Studio, where you can start to optimize it, build table-related connections for that. Between, if you look down here, is CPID, which is their spin on an FID or an OLID, and related CPID for appended tables for that. See, one of the things, so you bring in the solution here on this side, be able to come back, connect to the database, and you just got to think about it. It's similar-ish to ArcPad, where it sits as a shell on top of the Geodatabase. The best way I can think of describe it, it's the Geodatabase is the cupcake, and this is the frosting that sits on top. It's something that encompasses and adds to the database. This is CartoPac Studio. It works on all Windows-based devices for that. Simple line entry there. This is for a water feature ID set. And you see here there are a couple sub-tabs. What's the water line, the feature ID, a photo associated with it. But some of the fields can get about as complicated as you'd want it to be. For the T&E species especially, we'll get into things, our threat and endangered species, we'll get into some very complicated forms to be able to flesh out on the back end reporting for that. So once again, just to bring in mind scalability of the solution. And this can be done, data can be synced in SDE with Art's desktop or server. So once again, going back to scalability, CartoPac server versus CartoPac slide. This is a localized version that you can export out from a desktop, and this would be the server-based solution there. The idea is you hand out ArcGIS Online capable logins. Person logs into the device, either puts an area of interest around, draws a box, or selects a download by, say, the extent of a state for many large multi-state projects, counties, so on and so forth, to be able to work in for that. You take the data, add to the database, log back into the server, upload it at the end of the day, and then it'll post-process it at a given time in the evening. One other thing, too, with post-processing that we've run into for several projects, if you're using a good sub-centimeter GPS, with today's current standards, I know this is probably sacrilegious to say out loud, I'm sure someone's going to disagree with me, we found when we compare and contrast using differential correction versus not using differential correction, the GPS data is fairly similar, actually better. We'll have when people come back and say it'll be a top of bank for a streamline or something. People will come and tweak the lines afterwards, but we found if we didn't post-process that data, or when we use, say, the Arrow 100 devices that don't support the proprietary Trimble PFTK string, we found that the data was just as good, and we actually had to massage it less and spent more time on it. So it's something to consider moving forward. Just compare, contrast. If you're using an XH handheld, differentially correct that data. It needs that differential correction. But for some of the newer devices, it may not. And this is just to get an idea of the workflow here. So you see, log into the field server, download your solution. It goes to your devices, collect the data. It goes in there back to the server side, and then it goes into the SDE database in a cyclical cycle. So between the time of check out and check in, you can immediately turn around and check out your next day's data, and you'll see your data along with everyone else who had checked in at that period to be able to take out back with you. And this gets into, I'm going to actually skip and come back to this slide. This gets a little bit into the database structure too, to play off that last one. We have here the CartoPac Field Studio, or CartoPac Field Data goes up to an SDE database that lives in the cloud right here. But for us to work on a day-to-day basis, use it for mapping applications, we want to be able to get that over and replicate that two-way replication over to an SDE database on another server. That goes into the default function here, or the default version of the database. We then replicate it down to the master edit. By the way, I don't recommend using this master version of it unless you are working with many people that you really need to QA their work. It was a needless step. We built it into the database structure, or the overall data management structure, and we found it unnecessary. We no longer use that. And then it goes down to the edit version, where users like myself and other users will edit, massage, do what they need to with the data, correct some field mistakes, misspelling, so on and so forth, at which time data gets pushed back up, replicated overnight once again to the server, and this gets ported out to ArcGIS server to be to the viewer, as it were. And I hit back here. So we have that field replication for the CartoPac server, so the web connection there for that. And then this just punches through a hole in the firewall here, port 1434. I know that so well because it took us a year to get that open from our internal IT department for that, and then replicates the database back to the server. And then this will be for this particular project for Ned, which I pulled a lot from. We use ArcGIS server with Java API. The nice thing about that is that project was a multi-state up in the Northeast. So I'm not going to be able to be on site all the time, but what we were able to do is either use a screen sharing software for myself, and the head biologist would sit down, look at the data, massage the data, and then be able to see how things are going, keep up progress. I cannot, if you've not used ArcGIS server or these sort of web services, either hosted on SharePoint or other devices or other means of sharing data, I highly recommend it. It adds that level of transparency to the project management team that they're looking for, where they say, well, what are you doing today? Are they really working today? And as it replicates overnight, they say they can get in, check on progress, see where they are, create planning events, look at parcel information as it's being updated, where they can and can't survey for that sort of thing. And it's a phenomenal tool. It's worth spending time if you have an inclination to want to learn this and other softwares moving forward, such as GeoCortex. I highly recommend it. So this goes back to the data collection and analysis portion here. So once again, why are we collecting the data? Why is the necessity for mobile data there? Well, it's the back-end reporting, the mapping, the analysis that takes place for that. So with the project I'm talking about, it was a FERC regulatory project for a linear pipeline for that. So lots of permitting processes going on in the back end, lots of needs for reporting and tabular exports of data. And what we would do is take that, you'll pull all the data down, add in other sorts of data such as LiDAR, multispectral, things of that nature to be able to build the models for that, or build the analysis models for that, and then once again back to the reporting. And this is just a sample report of what we did in SSRS, or water body form, gives the basic information. All of this data was collected in the field, and as it was also it was used as a means of QA. So if you're working, and I know I keep harping on wetland biologies and things of that, but this really is universal to whatever you're doing. You have that person said, well, I'm going to collect this data, but I'm going to take it back and I'm going to work on my paper-based forms. What we do is spend a little bit more time with the data, massage it, get it to this stage where they see the finalized form. That way, the biologist is able to go back, check on everything, and make sure that it's correct. It meets what their paper-based notes were doing, and it's another level of QA in this system that was really nice, especially when you're generating thousands of these forms for a given project. It allowed it expedited matters. Okay, so in summation, once again, why CartoPac? It's easy to customize, it's scalable, it supports non-company employees. If in a company like myself, if Portal puts up roadblocks until version 10.5, where ArcGIS Online and Portal can speak to one another and allow for on-contract employees to be able to use Portal, this is something that can skirt around those issues where you can have it hosted outside on a DMZ server for that. And it provides the back-end reporting. So one question to leave you is, what is the future of mobile data? More connectivity. We talked about a lot of different, we're going to talk a lot about different softwares today, and each of them have pros and cons. The pros and cons of CartoPac, say pro, as I've listed here, cons, it's outside the Esri suite of products. It's something different, so therefore at times it can be hard to integrate different devices in with that. I will say that would be a con. But as we move towards a world of more and more connectivity, we're going to start to see these on-the-fly live data streams. I'm going to go and collect something and upload it instantaneously, like you see with Collector and other supported devices like that. But you still need that very robust back-end reporting, back-end database complexity that Collector does not support yet. And maybe it's not intended to. I assume so for that. Once again, my name is Matt Nanny with AECOM. I'm the lead mobile data manager and UAV pilot. If you have any questions, please let me know and come talk to me afterwards. Does anybody have any questions now? Thank you.